These are the products I will be using today. I'm going to be using a Wix Filters WP10320. That is the cabin air filter. The Wix WA9790. And that is the engine air filter. A Wix 57002. And that's going to be our oil filter. Our NGK laser iridium spark plugs. Part number there, DILKAR7M8, as well as the oil drain plug washer. I just got these from Amazon. They're just the same as the factory ones. And as well as some 5W30 by Castrol. This is the GTX Full Synthetic. It is what replaced the Magnatech, which was recommended by the manual, but I will be switching over to the Castrol Edge. Alright, let's go over the tools needed in order to do the spark plugs. You're going to need a 3/8 ratchet, a 14mm socket. This one is a 12-point magnetic made by ARES. Doesn't have to be this long, I just got it this long for convenience. You're going to need an 8mm short, an 8mm deep, and a 10mm as well. Some dielectric grease for the ignition coil boots, and some anti-seize for the spark plugs. Just a little bit. Don't get it everywhere, because it probably will. What I do is remove the engine cover just by lifting. Set that aside. Here we can see our coil packs right there. So what we need to do is remove this upper plate in order to access the bolts on all of these to pull them up and do our spark plugs. All right, we'll start off with our 8mm. Remove this one back here. There's another one right back behind this hose, if I can reach. All right, now we're going to get our 10mm. There's one 10mm here, and that'll give us enough clearance to be able to get to all of these bolt heads to remove our coil packs. So we'll go ahead and start unplugging these. Next, we'll get our 8mm back out and get to these here and under there. We'll start with the harder ones. Break them free. Alright, for this one it's probably going to be useful to use the longer one. Just kind of have to go in there, push back on that hose a bit, and you'll be able to get to it. Alright, now all of the bolts are removed. We can start pulling the coil packs out. Alright, now we're going to take our thin wall 14mm, and again this one's got that magnet inside, so it'll grab them. Here is one. Not bad. This is what the new one looks next to the old one. These are pre-gapped, so do not gap them at all. So I'm going to take my anti-seize, just add just a little there, kind of smear it all the way around, and that should be good enough. Insert our spark plug into our socket, and then gently drop it in. Now there isn't an exact torque spec on these, or I believe it's pretty low, But on here it says if it's got a washer, which this one does, it's not conical, we go hand tight and then half a turn more. Like it says on here, do not try to re-gap these. They are already gapped. So we'll set up here. We're hand tight, and we're going to go half a turn. Now we'll do the same for the other ones. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of dielectric grease just to the boot here. Take some of that, smear it around. Perfect. That'll just help the boot slide over the new spark plug. Press firmly down, it's good to go. And we'll do the same thing to the remainder boots. This one's a little tricky. You kind of have to make sure it angles in. If it's really hard to push down, it's not over the spark plug, so just play with it a little bit. Alright, next thing, we'll put all our bolts back in. Alright, so the torque spec on the bolts that go on the coil packs is 5 foot-pounds, or just hand tight. That'll be good. Next thing we'll do is connect all our connectors back into our coil pack. Alright, now we just got to reinstall all our bolts into here. Start with our 10. All of these are also going to be just hand tight. Alright, go ahead and double check that everything is exactly the way it was before. The last thing is to install our cover. Oh, got it a little off. There we go. Done. Alright, now to do the air filter, there's a clip down here that will pop out. There's a clip down here. Pop that guy out. Once that's done, simply lift out of the way to reveal our old air filter. Grab our new filter, set it right into there. Make sure it's seated on all the corners. There are 3 tabs, so there's one there, one there, one there. They correspond to there, in the middle there, and to the right. So whenever you go set this back down, push it down like that. Get you behind here. This cable sometimes gets in the way, as you can see. So we'll get that out of the way. Then once we line up all the 3 tabs, just like that. See this tab, middle one there, and then that one there, all lined up. With that out of the way, go ahead and do our clips. Done. Alright, for our cabin air filter, we have to push right here to release that, just like that. Go to the opposite side, do the same. Pull on this one, now that's released. And we'll go down here, and there is this connecting rod, whatever you want to call it. We're going to pull that straight out. And now, our glove box will just come right down. This is where our air filter is at. there's a little tab here that will kind of squeeze and pull out. Then you're just going to rotate this all the way out and it'll pop right out. Set that down. Then our filter's in here. Pull this out. And here's our old filter. But you're going to pull the filter out of this bracket, basket, whatever you want to call it. Set that aside. As you can see, it has an arrow on the old one. Airflow down. So this Wix one has arrows pointing in that direction. So that's the way that we're going to set it in. There's a little tab here. Make sure to get one of this in between the pleats. So we'll insert at the bottom and then just kind of let it fall naturally down. Get it to fit in there nicely. Checking all the corners. Pull it back. Make sure that gets in there. Okay, that one just wants to live its life however it wants, I guess. That'll be okay. Alright, now all we need to do is put it in the car. Back in here, we'll slide this into there, making sure that our arrow is pointing up. Next thing we'll do is grab our cover, insert it back there, kind of at an angle, rotate all the way, clip that in, done. Now we're just going to flip our glove box up. Remember to do our little rod here. Pull it down, push it in, snaps right in. Next, push on this, and the other one went in by itself. We're all done. Alright, we're going to need a drain pan, our oil, a funnel. This is a 3D printed funnel that says Mazda on it. Fits perfectly in there. Your filter, a new washer for the drain plug, some sort of flathead or a small little pry bar. Not necessary, but maybe a clip puller. You're going to need a 17mm socket for the drain plug and an 8mm for the access panel. There's two 8mm screws and two clips, and we'll cover the torque on the drain plug when we wrap things up at the end. The manual calls for 5 quarts or 5.1 quarts, which is 5 quarts and 100 milliliters. So just a little extra. I've got another quart that I'm going to use to top it off. For the oil change, you're going to need a jack and a pair of jack stands. Looking up underneath the vehicle, you're going to want to put your jack in this area right there. The other areas have plastic, but this is where you would raise the car from. I'm going to be using this pad. It's just a thick rubber pad. I'm going to put that on here and set my pinch weld that I showed you up top through the center of that. I like to place the jack stand right under there, so we'll lift that to there. Put our safety pin through and we'll lower it down. Alright, and then do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so now we've got enough clearance to get under the vehicle and start doing the oil change. One important thing to note is when you do raise the vehicle, make sure the parking brake is set or chock the wheels. This is a pretty level garage and the parking brake is set, so I don't have to worry about the car rolling forward or backward. Alright, getting under the vehicle, we're going to be looking for this panel back here. And you can see it's got 2 screws, one there, one here, and then 2 clips right there in the back. We'll start by removing the screws. Next thing we'll do is remove the clips. Set that aside. We can see our filter right here, and we can see our drain plug here. Okay, we'll take our 17mm socket, get it on our drain plug. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And we're going to let that drain for a while. As this is draining, we'll go ahead and do our filter. Let that drip all over your hands. Perfect. As it continues to drain, we'll prep our drain bolt. So I cleaned it off, took the old washer off. We'll install our new washer right onto there. We'll also get our filter ready. Is apply a little bit of oil to the O-ring on here. So we're just going to dip our finger in here just a little bit. Take a drop of oil, just work it all the way around, and now it's ready to get installed. Alright, once this is done dripping for a while, we're going to get a clean towel and clean around the filter housing. Get any debris that might be around there. Nice and clean. We're also going to clean around the drain plug hole just by dabbing it a little bit. That'll be alright. It's going to keep dripping, but oh well. With our oil filter lubricated, go ahead and put it on. Okay, we're going to go hand tight and then 3/4 of a turn more. So we'll use that dot as reference. And there we are. Dots over here. Traveled about 3/4 of a turn. Next, we'll get our drain plug with our new washer on it. Insert that into there. Wipe off excess oil around it. There we are. And I've got my torque wrench set to 25 foot-pounds. Get our 17mm socket on there. Torqued. One last thing to do is write our mileage on here, you know, just in case. Right, now we can reinstall our panel. Insert our clips and our screws. Next thing to do, I measured about 3.5 ounces of oil, which is about 100 milliliters. We're going to add that to our 5 quarts. Now this will be ready to pour into the vehicle. We'll pull our dipstick out, wipe that clean, pull our cap off. Now all we got to do is pour our oil in, probably make a mess. Leave that there to drain. Once you've waited a while, should be good to go. Yep, good enough. Have our towel handy. Pull the funnel. Reinstall our cap. And next we're going to check our level just to make sure that we are correct. Yep, it's right below the second hole. So that's perfect because our filter hasn't filled up yet. So that's good. Well, right at this point, you can go in the car, start it up, ensure your oil light goes off properly, and then check for leaks. Then you can go ahead and lower the vehicle onto the ground. I am, however, not doing that because I have to do a tire rotation. So I will be doing that next. Once you've finished all your maintenance, you'll probably want to reset your service reminder on the dash. All you got to do is don't press the brake pedal, but press the ignition. Turn your radio off because, you know. Let's go one more just so we don't have to listen to that. Okay, we're going to scroll over to our applications. We're going to go down to Vehicle Status Monitor. We're going to go down to Maintenance. You can do tire rotation. I have it off because I do my oil changes every 5,000 miles anyway. You can go to your oil change. I have mine to a fixed, so every 5,000 miles it pops up with a reminder. Here it tells you it's due in 1,713 miles, and all you have to do is hit the reset, and that'll reset it to the distance that you select, which I selected 5,000 miles. I just haven't done it here yet. But that's it. Once you reset it, then your reminder will go away and you're good to go. A couple other things you might consider is either using a notebook, kind of like this one, where I write down everything I've done at the vehicle over, oil change, the date, the miles, the oil I use, the filter I use. I do a tire rotation every time I do an oil change, and I write down how I oriented the tire rotation, right? So the front to the back and the back to the front. I also write down that I did the intake valve cleaning, and like today, we did spark plugs, air filter, cabin air filter, oil change, and we're going to do tire rotation. So date, miles. Another option, O'Reilly actually has these for free, so you can pick up, it's a whole little booklet essentially, but they stick to your window, and not necessary, but I keep track with this tire depth gauge. I keep track of the 30 seconds on here. So as you can see, it's got 30 seconds in millimeters. I just keep tracking 30 seconds. But you can see this one was at 10.5, then they were all at 10, and then we'll see what they're at today. Just a tip, and only for a second, but keep track of your stuff. I've got a couple pages worth of different, oil changes every time I did the cabin filter and stuff like that, just so you have some sort of record, or you can use the decals. And of course, always remember to recycle your oil filter, and keep it clean, all right? As far as the tire rotation goes, my tires their rotation is marked on the tire because they're in a directional tire. So I can't put this passenger side on the rear driver side because it would be facing the wrong way. So all I do is I take this one, put it in the rear, take the rear, and put it in the front for both sides. If you have different tires, ensure to check your manual or a quick Google search, and it'll give you the best rotation for the type of vehicle that you own. These, of course, are all-wheel drive, but they are front-wheel drive bias, so keep that in mind. I hope you guys found this video useful. Thanks for sticking around. I try to make kind of a one-stop video where you can find normal maintenance things. In the future, I'll be doing transmission oil, transaxle oil, and the differential oil. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to watch this video over here. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, and I appreciate all the comments down below. Make sure to read those in case I missed anything or anyone has any really good tips. Take it easy.